In Venezuela, of course, we recently had an election. It was very, very close. The person who won is Nicolas Maduro. He was the right-hand man for Hugo Chavez before he passed away. The margin of victory was really narrow. It was 1.49%. So the opposition is angry about that. They think there was fraud, and they think it's an outrage, and that they claim a lot of dead people were on the voter rolls and they voted, and that's what made that small difference in the election. Well, now the government is mad that the opposition will not recognize the election, and they're calling for the Supreme Court, the opposition is, to overturn the election. So the government is struck back, and they say that the opposition lawmakers are banned from public speaking and sitting on legislative committees. Now, I think that's a disastrous idea. Don't do that. Look, you won the election. Of course they're going to be upset about it. It was a narrow election. You won it fair and square. And I have no expertise to be able to say whether they did or they didn't. I would have had Jimmy Carter running the thing, so we could have all been a little bit clearer. But anyway, even if you think you won the election fair and square and you're upset that they're challenging it, well, you know, in a system that works well, they challenge it and the courts decide. And sometimes there's gross injustices. When our courts decided the 2000 election, it didn't work out well. But to ban the other side from public speaking and to remove them from legislative committees, well, that almost proves their point, because that looks dictatorial. So don't do that. And then the opposition comes in and unfurls a banner. And it makes sense because they're not even allowed to speak. So as they're in their Congress, they unfurl the banner, and then a fight breaks out. Now, first, let's watch the fight, and then we'll talk about who might have started it. Well, at least one guy got pretty hurt, as you can see there. Of course, immediately both sides blame each other. They started it. No, the government folks say, oh, we just did it in self-defense. I don't know what you're talking about. The opposition says, here, I've got a quote from one of the opposition members here, Ismael Garcia. He says, without a word, like cowards, they came at us from behind. Very hard to tell if there was fraud in the election, not fraud, especially from far away like here. Also very hard to tell who started that fight in Congress. There's only one thing that seems clear, which is the idea that you don't allow the other side to speak is a terrible idea. And look, if I lived in Venezuela, my guess is I would have been predisposed to vote for Maduro, who is the guy who won the election. He's Hugo Chavez's guy. I don't know for sure, but based on the fact that, you know, I'm on the left side of the spectrum here, my guess is I might have gone in that direction in Venezuela. But that doesn't excuse him taking actions where he doesn't allow the other side to speak. So I'm starting to get worried about the direction this is going in, because it ain't pretty and it isn't the right way to go. And if the government guys started the fight on top, well, then we're talking about physical intimidation, and that's horrible. So Venezuela, I love you, brothers. Don't go in that direction. Reel this thing back in. Let the courts decide it. Once you start going towards physical violence, it's an ugly, ugly road.